Hello and welcome to today's video. We are in round 11 already of this marathon of the tournament that is the Women's FIDE Candidates Tournament in Toronto, Canada. So 4 more games to go. In today's video we follow International Master Nurgyul Salimova's game against Humpy Koneru. The only player that Nurgyul has beaten so far in an epic masterclass of an attack in round 4 with the white pieces, so surely Humpy, a legend of the game of women's chess, will want to exact her revenge on Nurgyul with the white pieces. Also, Nurgyul's last game against Vaishali was quite heartbreaking, so mentally probably she must have found it difficult to prepare for this game after nearly winning in round 10, but ending up not just drawing but actually losing that game. We have a Slav defense by Nurgyul, and I have really liked how in every game almost as black she plays a different defense and not necessarily the same old top lines that we see at the very highest level of chess, but actually very prepared and very theoretically sound in this game. As we can see, nothing much happens until move basically 17. Both players developing very solidly, developing a lot the queen side, so we'll probably see castles on the queen side. There we go, Humpy, and now Nurgyul follows with castles, long castles on the queen side. Both of them also moving their kings to safety, not leaving them on c1 and c8. And if there's one thing that you remember from this video, if you're learning how to play chess better, is when you long castle, don't forget to put the king on your b1 or b8 square to safety. Don't be lazy, because the king is quite vulnerable on the c square. Okay, so on move 15, Nurgyul plays g5, which is essentially a pawn sacrifice to gain some development and tempo and space, but this pawn is very weak there. It's undefended. It's not something that loses the game. The computer is still happy to call it equality, but Humpy, of course, goes and jumps and grabs that pawn. And when you sacrifice a pawn, you better make and get some compensation for it in terms of development, which Nurgyul does by advancing her knight, because if you keep playing moves that are not very demanding of your opponent, at some point this material advantage that you gave to your opponent will matter. So you want to gain time and space in exchange for your sacrifice. We've got queen to f5, so the knight was attacking the queen, and then it was threatening to jump in here and fork the 2 rooks, winning a knight for a rook. Now Humpy has defended the pawn with the queen. We have g6. One of the reasons to play g5 was to open a play here and gain tempo whilst attacking the queen. And now f5, so Nurgyul is attacking in exchange for that pawn that she lost. But she also seemed, and during the game I had a feeling that she seemed like she's not sure which plan to choose of the many plans that she had in her mind. Not sure where to put especially her back rank rooks, whilst the rook are on the back line, where exactly to play them. So we saw a move that was deemed a mistake by the computer, putting the rook from c to f8, and after a few moves again we see that Nurgyul moved the other rook, not sure where exactly to place it, so wasting a move to put it on e8, where it's not actually doing that much, giving Humpy an even bigger advantage, even though she's just leading by a pawn. With, again, unclear development for black, like where's the attack going to come at the moment for black, I can't see, whereas white has clear ideas to play e5. In fact, now would be a good time to play e5, and that's what Humpy did. Also 2 versus 1 on the side of the king, where we have support for these pawns at the moment, and of course by the bishops. So overall white is really, I would say, even winning. It says 1.9, but with correct moves it's much easier to play white here. Almost anything you play will result in advantage being maintained, whereas Nurgyul needs to be very precise, and it's very difficult. Again, another third rook move that computer doesn't like, moving it across the back ranks. So really this was the only game so far where I felt like obviously she's playing still really well at a very high level, but not at the top sharp level we saw in all of her last 10 games, where win or lose she had many attacking opportunities, many brilliant defenses. In this one it seemed that Humpy was the one with the more clear idea, and is now liquidating the game into an advantage with many passed pawns, connected passed pawns. So even though she's leading by only well, currently 2 pawns, but Nurgyul could have exchanged 1 pawn, she's just very close to queening and to winning. So really strong play by Humpy. And unfortunately a pretty bad loss for Nurgyul. This one was never in doubt after the several moves on the back rank. She's trying everything. She's trying some tricks here to get either a perpetual check in order to gain a draw, or to force a mistake by Humpy, but of course she plays it safe, giving her king some escape. And it's not really easy, like sometimes you can check forever, but in this situation there is just not enough space for the queen, and the rook is providing to be a very solid defender for white pieces, allowing basically Humpy to keep advancing and to negate any sort of serious checking ideas for white, for black, sorry. And as you can see here, we have 2 pawns versus 4 pawns, and even though Nurgyul wins one of them, basically it is extremely difficult to defend on both sides on the board. All of Nurgyul's pieces are overworked and defending too much, can't do any attack, and eventually it's going to be a loss. So with some good technique here, with Humpy bringing the king on the side where it's needed, we have advancement that is more than enough for a win. As we can see here, the rook of black pieces is running out of space. Here I was really hoping that Humpy would play king to g6. That was the one time I thought that this is the obvious move to kind of get out the rook of this diagonal in order to be able to advance this pawn. That would be a huge mistake though. King to g6 runs into first king capturing a5, and after king to g7, because this is your idea, this rook is actually free to escape somewhere along the back rank and keep checking you. So it gives black very, very serious drawing chances. So Humpy doesn't do that. She realized that now she can commit more of her rook to the queen side because the king is doing a lot on the king side, and ultimately Nurgyul has too few pieces and is too stretched. Finishes the game exactly as last game, with a rook and a king versus a rook and a pawn that is just not in time to turn into a queen. So she will have to settle for another painful loss. There is still 3 more games, and I really hope she manages to turn it around. She's given us great games in this tournament, and I really hope she'll manage to avoid finishing in last place. She's currently half a point away from jumping to not being last, but in any case, well done to Humpy for really outplaying Nurgyul in this game, unfortunately. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought about this game. I personally thought it was very crushing for white, and really white managed to suck out of the space of the black's position extremely well in this game. Thank you. See you in the next one. Bye.